What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC. Today we're checking out the Remette Wild Species. You may be familiar with that Remette name from their gravity knife, the swordfish. At least that's how I knew them. But what I didn't realize is that they also have a decent lineup of folders, the Wild Species being one of those. And this is offered in a bunch of different configurations for both budget offerings as well as premium. We're taking a look at one of those budget offerings today, which has 14C28N on the steel and G10 on the handles. If you elect to go with the premium offerings, those upgrade the steel to Bohler M390, replace that G10 with titanium, and is also available in a couple different configurations. So a lot of different options depending on what you're looking for, what your budget is. And when I say this is a budget knife, it's hard to say because everyone's budget's a little bit different. But you can purchase this one on Amazon for around $65. They did, however, send me a coupon code that I can share, which will save you 40% off this if you're purchasing it before the end of September. I believe it ends on September 30th, but that gets the price point all the way down to $39. So really great price on this knife, pretty significant savings of about $25 or so. It's not one of those coupons on Amazon where you just check mark the box. You actually have to add it to your cart when you're checking out, enter it in the promo code field. And again, it'll save you about $25. So definitely make sure to utilize that if you're purchasing this by the end of September of 2024. Now the knife itself is great, kind of a mid to large size folder at 7.87 inches overall. On the budget offering, we have the G10 handles, which are really cool. A nice stylized G10 with the contouring along the edges, exposing some additional layers. So it alternates between green and black on this one. They also have a black and tan version as well. So if you prefer either of those colors, those are available for around the same price point. But you can see both the green and black layers. And on the liners, we have red G10 liners. So it creates a really nice looking edge all the way around the edge of this knife, which I appreciate. 4.6 inches on the handle, so plenty of real estate for that full 4-finger grip. For me, I have plenty of room left over, so you have a little bit of room to slide around. The inner handle here has these grooves, but really nice for placing your 2 fingers in front, 2 fingers behind. Don't land on that point at all. In fact, no hot spots whatsoever on this knife for my hand. The pocket clip hides nicely behind the knuckles. Nicely placed jimping here as well. A little bit subtle for my preference. I prefer the really aggressive jimping. If you're gonna have jimping, I prefer it to be super grabby. This is still grabby, but not as aggressive as kind of my preferred jimping. If you prefer the more subtle jimping though, really great jimping on there as well. The blade itself is 3.27 inches, drop point style blade, again 14C28N on the budget offering, so really great steel for the budget knife. And I love the way this blade is executed. Really nice flat grind, comes down to a super thin edge behind that edge. Terminates really nicely down here. No traditional sharpening tool, but you really don't need it. The way the edge terminates is going to make this really easy to sharpen. You have plenty of access all the way down to that bottom corner. So really like how that's done. You can see the thumb stud, which has a nice blue accent to match the blue pivot color as well. That thumb stud is well out of the way of your cutting path, tucks nicely into the handle. And then you have this polished flat with the Remette brand on there. And so just an overall really good looking. As far as the billboarding, you have Remette on one side, 14C28N on the other. Pretty nicely done in my opinion, but the blade is probably one of my favorite parts of this knife. Again, overall length is about 3.87 inches. It is a little bit on the heavy side, even for a knife of this size. They listed at, I think it was like 3.61 ounces, but when I weighed it, it was 4.4 ounces. So definitely on the heavier side. It doesn't really feel heavy in hand. It's very well balanced, feels good in your hand, but in the pocket you're definitely going to feel a little bit of that weight, especially if you're not utilizing the pocket clip. Liner lock for our lockup, and it is on cage ceramic ball bearing, so that just drops shut, drops right onto your nail actually, and then you can shake it the rest of the way. Single shake will get you there. In terms of deployment, we have a couple different options. So we have this front flipper, which is great. It's a little bit exaggerated, which makes it really easy for beginners on front flippers, because even if you fail that front flip, you can kind of just slow roll it around the top there without knowing how to use that front flipper, but it gives you plenty of access to practice your front flipping and makes it really easy. Now that's not my preferred deployment method on any knife really, so if I have another one, I'm probably going to go with that. And in this case, we have our thumb stud deployment. Really great access to the thumb stud. The detent on here is really nicely dialed in, so flicks open with authority. Really great action on the thumb stud deployment. You also have the back stud over here, so thumb studs on both sides. if you want to do that middle finger flick, also have plenty of access to that as well. So all of those are really easy to deploy with that drop action. It makes this one a lot of fun to fidget with because you can get right into deploying it no matter what your preferred deployment method is. It's pretty easy to get in the right position quickly on those. So really like the action on this one. We have a semi-deep carry pocket clip. If you take a look, it's not ultra deep carry. You've got about a little more than a quarter of an inch exposed in your pocket. That's not something that really bothers me. I don't hate that. It's not reversible though, so right hand tip up only, unfortunately. Now, we do have a lanyard hole as well, like the placement on that. It's integrated into the back spacer itself, so it tucks nicely into the back of the knife and is pretty unobtrusive if you're not someone who's gonna utilize that thumb stud. Overall, I think this is a really great looking knife. If I had to put any negatives on it, I'd say it's a little bit on the heavy side. The pocket clip, it would be great if it's reversible. I'm not lefty, but I always advocate for reversible pocket clips whenever possible so that we can accommodate the lefties as well. And then the body screws are T6. We do get a T8 pivot, which is nice. I prefer T8 across the board, but we have T8 on the pivot, T6 on those body screws. One thing that's actually really nice about this, we get our usual kind of accompanying items with our knife. We get the case, we get a cleaning cloth, warranty information, all of that great stuff. But they also send over this little Torx bit with the T8 on one side and the T6 on the other, so you don't have to have the tools yourself. It includes one with it. But again, the only thing I would really change is reversible pocket clips and maybe T8 body screws across the board. Otherwise, this is a very, very nice knife. Feels great, very well executed. Like I said, the edge itself, the knife, the blade itself, really the shining point on this knife, just very well done. You can tell they put a lot of thought into that design and executed it very well. So definitely feels worth that price point for me. If you're interested, I'll link to it down in the description. Now that coupon code, like I said, is only good to the end of September. After that, I don't know what they're gonna do about if they're gonna add one of those checkmark coupon codes, if there won't be a discount, whatever the case may be. If that's the case, these are actually $55 right now on their website. So I'll link to that as well. Definitely check which one's going to end up being cheaper. For sure, through the end of September, the Amazon one will be cheaper, but after that, I would kind of check both and just make sure you're getting the best deal on it because they do discount these a little bit. But let me know what you think of this one down in the comments below. As usual, if you enjoyed the video, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, joining the channel as a member. All help the channel out a ton, and as always, hope you have a great one. Take care.